Hello and welcome to another episode of Time to Change. My name is Chason Forehand. I'm the founder of hr-4u Incorporated. We are going to be talking about manifesting from a place of consciousness with my buddy James, and he is here today. He is the Ascension coach. If you don't know him, James Valentine, one of the top 15 coaches in Las Vegas, Nevada. You need to connect with this guy. Tell people what you do and why it's important.
Well, I am, as my amazing friend said, I am the Ascension coach, and really it was a rebrand from who I was before as the Manifest coach, as the $1 Million Manifest coach. But the rebrand was so important to kind of match who I am today. Went through something that's called a spiritual awakening. Actually, it was my second one. And from there, I went around this time last year, actually, February, I went into the wilderness, found a place that I could go and just reconnect with my soul. Jesus was always my model for that. So I spent 40 days in the wilderness and came out with just these amazing revelations, these amazing insights into life, into reality, into manifestation, into the oneness of all of us. And so what I talk about now is Ascension. And Ascension is essentially helping people connect with higher states of consciousness. One of the things that came out of that experience was my higher self told me that something may associate it with God, the Holy Spirit, whatever. I say the higher self told me that the spiritual journey is about learning not to judge according to appearances. So I'm helping people see life from higher states of consciousness. I'm helping people more fully connect with their higher self and discover their soul's purpose. And so a big shift for me is now I talk about life from a place of consciousness, which for me, I say is the only reality.
Let's talk about what that higher consciousness means. What does it mean when we refer to something as higher consciousness?
I often jokingly refer to this, that when you operate in higher states of consciousness, it's like being able to pick from the top shelf and bring it down for other people who are not in that space to reach the high. And that's really, again, it's being able to see, and I think more of a scientific way of even approaching this is being able to fully know that everything is energy. Everything looks like if I tap on a wall, it's going to seem hard, but everything is energy, and energy is constantly in motion. Nothing is fluid. Everything is fluid. Everything is malleable. Because we are often unconscious of that, we see everything as oh, this is just what it is. There's nothing I can do about it, etc. But there's everything you can do about it. So having that higher state of consciousness is being able to see essentially the truth.
Where do you begin? What's the beginning look like?
Great question. And so when I'm starting with someone, the first thing I want to establish is who you are. And there is, from the Torah, the first book of the Bible, Genesis, says that God breathed into man the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Wait, that's different than how we are viewing reality and reviewing ourselves. There's two things in there. God breathed into man the breath of life, and man became a living soul, which says two things. The life of man is the very breath of God.
Oh, wow.
And we are a living soul. So we often associate ourselves as a living body. It is first establishing that, wait, this is just a vehicle. I imagine your audience is more faith-based as well. This is just a vehicle, an instrument, a tool. And even Romans, I think it's 6, talks about submit not your bodies as instruments unto unrighteousness. Submit your bodies as instruments unto God. And so we're often thinking that this is just this is our being. Our being is soul, living soul. Yeah. And so we're often associating ourselves as a living body, and not that it doesn't, soul expresses itself through the body, and we have experiences in this reality through the body. But the truth is, we're living soul, and that's where I'm starting at with people.
People are looking to get help with understanding that consciousness and getting to a place where they are mindful and they can tap in and they can break through the barriers of things that they themselves have put in their place and other people have put in their place, society has put in their place.
Yeah.
How do you start to make those changes with them, get them to see those roadblocks as for what they are and to
Yeah.
move past that?
Yeah. Asking some great questions, my friend. As I prepared for this, I said, what do I want to bring out? What am I supposed to be bringing out? Just really connecting with my higher self, connecting with God. What am I supposed to be bringing out? And one of the two things that were part of the first few thoughts around this was talking from a place of consciousness. Consciousness is greater than mine, because if I can be conscious of my mind, of my thoughts, that means there's something greater than that.
Wow.
Consciousness is greater than my body. If I be conscious of my body, which I am in this very moment, I am conscious of my body. That means that I am something infinitely greater than my body. So where I'm starting with people and really expanding their consciousness and really helping them connect with higher states of consciousness is understanding even what the Bible tells us. It says, take every thought captive into the obedience of Christ, which lets me know there's the me and there's the thought. Because if I'm taking it captive, I must be separate from my thoughts. What often happens is that we identify, we believe, and we react to our thoughts thinking that they are who we are. No, we're the consciousness that can be conscious of our mind, but at the same time, if we are not aware, we can lose ourselves in our mind and start reacting to our thoughts. And what I call 3D reality is thought experiences, because this is just a projection. What I'm experiencing out there is just a projection of my thoughts. So when you even look at it from that place, you understand that whether you call it consciousness, soul, whatever, your very being, as I expressed earlier, being the breath of God, is everything that God is. So if God is love, guess what I am? I am love, unless I lose myself in my thoughts. So the very first thing is being able to slow life down, whether that's through contemplation, whether that's through meditation, whether that's through sitting still, whether that's through journaling, so that now I can be more aware of the thoughts that are coming across the screen of my mind. So I can go, nope, I'm not reacting to that. That's not even me. Let me pull back. So it all begins with thoughts.
Stopping that reactionary, the reactionary measures that we just have been kind of trained to do, where we, Absolutely. How are you going to react to that? Well, no, I don't want to react. I want to take it in and I want to think about it. And then I'm going to move
Release.
forward. Release. I love that. I love that. Now, so somebody is working with you or is interested in being in this process, and you've identified, you start the process, you're in the work. What keeps them on track to make sure that they don't backslide, to make sure that we don't lose ground? How do they stay focused and present and mindful so that they can keep moving forward?
I love that. It's, one of the things I also teach is being able to understand the language of what I call the universe. And what I mean by that is everything is reflecting you back to you. That's what I teach, reflecting us back to us. That even my amazing friend, you are an aspect of me. I am an aspect of you. Life is an aspect of who we are. So I get them into the practice of being able to understand the language of the universe, being able to read life, because if something shows up in my reality that I do not prefer, that is now reflecting something about me back to me. And so once you can begin to get in the practice of living your life on a daily basis and going, wait, why is this showing up? And I think maybe the best answer to that is really challenging them to continue to question who they are, well, not who they are, but continue to question what shows up and why it shows up. Even when, like relationships, we may talk about what this person has done, what this person has said, but when you understand that person is just reflecting you, wait, they don't need to change. Matter of fact, I might not even need to say a word to them. I just now need to shift it in me. So it needs to become a lifestyle. I teach them how to make it a lifestyle where you're now seeing life from that higher state of consciousness.
I listen to this, and I listen, when I'm listening to your post or part of an event that you're in, or even in this conversation or our off recording conversations. The interesting thing is that this kind of work really could do some amazing things inside businesses, because we're trying to have diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging, and engagement with people. How more so could we do that if we worked in these spaces and we actually, how tremendous would that be if you're in a place that's like, hey, I get you, and I'm gonna accept you for who and what you are and how you show up.
Yeah, because we are everyone knows these are things that we know, but we don't really explore. Like, we know at some point this physical frame gets put in the ground at some point, and that our true self now emerges, right? And so, I'm grateful, and we're grateful for things like DEI, but being able to pull back the veil and go, we're all the same. We are literally all soul. And I even give the example that if in the beginning was God, which almost all the spiritual traditions and teachings tell us that in some way, shape, form, or fashion, then that means and I usually give an example of this, if I have a tree, I have the ability to make a chair, a table, or door, a house, but everything has those qualities that were inherent in the tree. So if in the beginning God, there was nothing else but God, that means that everything that we see has some aspect of God in it. God didn't, there wasn't God. There was only God. And so the only thing he could create from, or God could create from, was himself or itself or herself, however, the audience may choose. So we are so much more than this physical frame. We are a living soul. Soul doesn't have a color. Soul really doesn't have a gender, but that's a whole different conversation. But soul is soul is soul. Soul is soul is soul. And so being able to see people, because here's a thing, and I don't want to, because I can go off on stuff like this, case. But to really see people, which it's really all of our desires to be really seen. To really see people, you have to see past this physical frame. You have to see the truth of who we are as divine beings. And I don't, and it might get some pushback between someone who, around someone who may have committed a mass murder, or someone who did some other, what we call, atrocious act. That person is still a living soul that has so associated themselves with their thoughts, with their body, that they've lost themselves. But the truth is, that's still who they are. And so being able to see the truth of who we are goes a long, long way.
Woo. I'm telling you what, we could go on and on and on. This is a short program. We want to hit you with some great things. If in the program, we are going to put in our links when we drop this, so you can connect with James Valentine and get a chance to speak with him, have a conversation, get to work with him. I highly recommend that, if nothing else, that you connect with this gentleman. What an incredible, incredible human being. It has been a pleasure having you on the show, talking about what you do and about that ascension. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being part of the show. And for all of you out there that are listening, connect with James Valentine. This has been Time to Change. We appreciate you showing up. Take care.